in my eyes and in my ears, Nita Strauss is a guitar playing legend. I am a sucker for massive lead guitars. And as someone that grew up in the new metal era, I love new metal. You know I do, right? But I missed that. I missed that guitar hero thing. And across the last 15 years, we're seeing that starting to come back in so many different forms. And at the forefront of that movement is my first guest here today, Nita Strauss, everybody! Nita, how you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me on. I was actually just sitting here practicing listening to you. I'm getting ready for tour, and since we had an extra 15 minutes or so at the top, I was like, oh, get some practice time
Do
in.
you, do you know
So
what this
I'll
stuff
stop.
this stuff never stops blowing my mind, Nita. I was lucky enough to come out and do a job with Zach Wilde in the early 2000s, and he was telling me legitimately that if he hasn't played guitar for a couple of hours like each day, he feels like so many like oh, I'm not on my game and all these
Uh,
sorts of things. Is it a constant like a daily thing, you and your guitar?
I will say, to be 100% honest, it's
Yes.
not always like that for me. My job keeps me playing so much. I tour so much. I'm practicing like, I just finished, wrapped up recording the Alice Cooper album right after an Alice Cooper tour, and now I'm like running straight into my upcoming tour. So I'm just like cramming. My solo songs are really hard, and I haven't played them in a couple years. So I need this whole week to practice. I'm gonna grab every 15 minutes I can get here and there and make sure I'm firing on all cylinders. Tour starts 8 days from today, so I'm
Hell
trying to be
yeah.
ready.
It's so funny, Nita, because I've got friends who play in tech metal bands. When
Right.
they write their songs and then they have some time off tour and go back to it,
Uh,
they curse themselves for their own music.
that's
Yeah, that's relatable.
that's me. That's me right there. And I say it to the guys in Alice. I say it to Josh all the time. Like, I don't know why, but it's like a curse. You write this stuff that you think is cool, and then you're like, oh, and you guys have seen me play live. I'm a performer. I like to run around
Big
and
time.
headbang and, mosh around and be one with the crowd. And I'm like, I have this weird balance to strike with my solo music because the music is really complex and I want to make sure I'm doing it justice, but I also want to run around and throw the guitar around and windmill and be crazy. So it's like a delicate lady luck balancing act there for
So
me.
you mentioned that you finished playing on the Alice record.
Yes.
Forgive my ignorance. Do you write with Alice, or is it a case of providing solos, or what's your songwriting relationship with the legend that is Alice Cooper?
Yeah, I'm so excited to really get to talk about this because it's such a new thing. But so for the past, I've been playing with Alice for almost 8 years now, and in that time, I've only appeared on live recordings. So the Paranormal Evening at the Olympia and the DVD and all that. Um, and there were some live tracks that appeared on one of the previous albums as well. But this time, for the first time, he utilized our touring band. So it's myself, Ryan, Chuck, Tommy, Glenn,
Amazing.
and we wrote the album, and we wrote the songs and recorded together all at the same time, and it was really fun. So there's still some work to be done, but we wrapped up the first portion of the recording, and just a couple days ago. It feels like a long time, but it's actually like 3 days ago, and now just here getting ready for tour.
Hell yeah! I'll bring David in a second. David, good to see you, man. I'll bring you in a sec.
Sorry, dude.
Nita, the did it has it changed your relationship with Alice at all? Like, in terms of, I feel like there would be an extra level of, and I don't know if intimacy is too strong a word, but when your relationship goes to, like, on a songwriting, on a recording level, that next level, when you've been entrusted with, this is a first, which has got to feel good in its own right. But do you feel like there's almost an extra layer of something to you being in the band, that now it's on a record as well, it's on new music, it's like it's etched in stone in that way, as well as what's been a very obvious and fruitful relationship in the live environment?
Oh my gosh. I mean, what an honor,
Hell yeah.
truly, what an honor. I've been by the guy's side on stage for 8 years, and that I've been perfectly content with that. Like I have had no complaints. I have no ego about not being one of the studio musicians before. I'm just so grateful to be the one that gets to play the song live, and that's what matters to me. But now to get that nod to be the one on the record, it really, what an absolute honor it is. And the thing about playing with Alice is it's always about Alice. It's not about your ego. I have my songs for that. My songs are about my ego. And so with Alice, it's always about elevating Alice and elevating, making sure the Alice Cooper fans have the absolute best experience. And that's what we do on stage, and that's what we try to do with this record.
Hell yes. Right. Jake, can I bring in our other guests? Wheel tech setup, excellent. So, David Draiman of Disturbed, mate, it's so nice to connect with you again, and it's so cool to bring you in at this moment in this chat, because one of the things I've always found endearing about you in our chat is, even though you're in one of the biggest rock bands of the 21st century, you have never ever once in all of the years that we've been doing these chats dipped this much on being a fan of bands, a fan of music from the past, a fan of bands that came up with you, and now we're 20 plus years past the sickness, a fan of bringing bands through. What is it that makes you a fan of Miss Nita Strauss?
Her talent, her ability, it's so refreshing to have, yeah, a new generation of guitar players being influenced by somebody like her. I think that we need a powerful, specifically female force. I think that it's incredibly important for the enduring, dominance of hard rock and metal. I truly, truly do. I think you're seeing it happen now across the genre. I think Nita's a part of a movement that we're bearing witness to, and I couldn't be happier about it. I mean, the more the merrier.
I do. I agree with that as well, because it's funny. I was going to bring this up later on, but I'll go to it now. I
By
love.
the way, my apologies. I had all kind of ghosts in my damn machine.
Oh
Mate,
no.
we are just.
I'm leaving for tour today too, so I'm trying to like juggle
Oh,
everything all at once.
mate, thank
a couple
that.
hours. So yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time with that,
No,
bearing that in mind. To follow on riffing from what you were saying though, like, I think it's cool that there's bands and artists at the moment that are doing new things with the guitar. Bands like Polyphia and Chon. But one of the other things that I love is that Nita, I hope I don't cause any blushing here or anything, but like I personally, I put you in the realm of Malmsteens and Vies, and like that's the thing that I've got from your live show and from the personality through playing. Is that like, where do you see where the guitar is in 2021? Because it's cool to have those two sides of the coin, something more classic, something that's new, and how those worlds can combine in the years ahead are always really exciting to me. What's it like as someone at the forefront of the movement to look at what the guitar is doing?
I think that it's a time of innovation for our instrument. I think that the real, like I'm a huge fan of Chon and Polyphia and Animals as Leaders, these guys that are really coming up and doing I think we can say this on here. They're doing shit with the guitar that like
Yeah,
I would never think of, like, and I love playing guitar. Playing guitar is my life. It's my passion. I never want to do anything else. But I look at someone like Tosin with the thumb stuff, and I was like, this is incredible. So I'm just continually inspired by the incredible guitar players that are out there. There's so many incredible female guitar players. Yvette Young, right there in that circle with the Polyphia guys and the Chon guys,
absolutely.
like just doing things, playing the piano on a guitar neck, things that are just so incredible and so innovative. So it's just exciting for me to be on that wave with everybody and get inspired by everybody and do some things that hopefully bring more people on the surfboard with us. That one's for
Well,
you, Dave, in Hawaii.
and so I guess that brings us quite rightly to Dead Inside. Speaking of bringing people to our movement, like nearly like around 2 million people have taken in the song in less than 2 weeks, which is fucking great. Like, we play on our New Music Saturday show, we play every bit of new rock and metal for the audience who get to vote on it, and they're tough. You've been on the internet for long enough, the two of you know people on the internet are tough. They voted it world class, and that doesn't happen very often, and that's so cool. What I wanted to ask about it myself is, collaborations sometimes are about push and pull, and like, you know, one person takes center stage and then another takes center stage. What I love about Dead Inside is that both of your personalities on the record are on 10 from bell to bell, from the first second to the last. Nita, I'll ask you first, how did this collaboration come to be?
We were working on my upcoming record. Josh and I were in Nashville recording, and we had this song that we were writing, and we were listening through it. And Josh looked at everybody in the room, and he goes, "This is a David Draiman song. I'm telling you guys, this is a David Draiman song." We were all like, "Whoa!" Like, almost like, would he do it? Like, this is David is here, and I'm starting out. Like. And Josh has known David for many years, and he contacted him and sent him over the song, and it came together very, very organically. There wasn't a long back and forth process of changing ideas and changing minds. When David came up with the melody and the lyric and the concept of the song, we loved it immediately. There wasn't really a big back and forth of, can you say this or can you change that? Like, David loved what we brought to the table, and we loved what he brought to the table, and it was just the way that writing songs should be. I think organic and fun, and really like kind of loving on everybody's part. Like, we had a great time doing it.
There's a lot.
Hallelujah.
There's a lot to
Couldn't
be
have
said.
said it any better.
David, there's a lot to be said for things that come together super quick as well, right? Like Paranoid by Black Sabbath, very famously written at the last minute, and the rest is history. Do you find enjoyment in that spontaneity of getting that call, like out of nowhere, especially during a time when there's not as much movement as a musician?
I get excited, when there's an exciting piece of music to write to.
Yes.
When there's an exciting idea, that manifests. I think that, and that I've had the blessings over the course of the past couple of years to have a number of those opportunities, but this one was definitely very unique. It really, for all intents and purposes, now I know that Nita and Josh spent quite a bit of time, putting together the original skeleton of the song, the musical portion of the song, but the rest of it, and because of the nature in which they structured it, it made it very easy to write to, vocally, to develop melody. There was a lot of room for it, and where Nita has a lot of notes going on inside that chorus, right?
Yes, I agree.
There's
the lead run is perfect.
So I have been playing with a guitar player who has forced me to ignore the barrage of stuff from time to time to find the notes that fit in between. So I guess I'm kind of used to it. Danny's like that too, very much.
Thanks, Dan.
I love it.
So it was really easy for me to be like, oh my God, this melody just blew up, and inside of 48 hours, the song, for all intents and purposes, came together. And I was so excited about it that I wouldn't leave the two of them alone for the better part of a week. I just kept
we were so excited. We were just as excited to get the text as you were to send them, honestly.
And then tracking together, like she said, I mean, it was one of those, call it stereotypical magic rock and roll moments that we just had. The song came together within a couple days of writing and one day of tracking vocals. It's all we had, and it's doing the same thing to apparently a whole bunch of people as it did to us on that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. David, I'm going to ask you one more thing about your personality on tracks, because whether it's the things that you've produced, Device, like obviously Disturbed speaks for itself. There's one of the things that I love about your work, and as a fan of your work, is there's an iconic sound, and there's something uncompromising about that. And when it comes to fitting that alongside something, it helps that Nita has naturally heard, like, oh, I'm sure David would fit on this. But when it comes to actually getting a track, be it Nita's track or any track, like, does it ever enter your mind about like your how far your personality goes into something, or is it just this is the way I work, and if they've called, like,
It's really whatever feels right,
gotcha.
whatever the track calls for. I find it that in any musical endeavor, it's always not only inappropriate but often disappointing to set preconceived notions. You know what I mean? The
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
fluidity of creativity should be there. You should be able to shift on the fly. You know, and sometimes it's the riff that inspires. Sometimes it's a subject that inspires. Sometimes it's just a little melodic hook that could be a chorus idea that inspires. It could come from any number of sources. And, you know, appreciating where the energy takes you is really the key. Yeah, like for instance, I mean, there were moments in the studio where, you know, Nita would make a suggestion for which she has a great ear for harmony. As most guitar players do, I've found. I always end up. I do this with Danny too. I end up relying on my guitar players to find the notes that I'm not thinking of in another part of that register.
Interesting.
So yeah. And so
We love
she
that
was
stuff.
very good at that. And you know, when we both found the right one, and everybody realized that click and that harmonious moment it's really my favorite part of creation. When you finally are able to sit back, knowing that you have the ideas good in your head is one thing.
Yeah.
Finally getting it tracked, listening back, and then reassuring yourself, like, okay, I wasn't crazy. This is actually really, really fucking good.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love that when it bounces around the band naturally, because one person's idea, once it goes through the filter of all of the people involved, like when you arrive at your final idea with everyone's ideas incorporated, it always feels like a bigger sum of its part, let alone when it comes to something that feels unique like this. I wanted
Can
to
I just
ask,
add to that
yes,
quickly?
yeah, by all means, yes.
I just want to say how excited we were to get David doing David, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, because it's such a signature thing, and I know so well from so many years of playing on other people's music that you sometimes feel this push or pull in a different direction to be less yourself, to be less your personality. I get it with Alice all the time of like,
Gotcha.
do I do Nita here, or should I dial it back and try to channel the old school Glenn Buxton, you know, try to get the old school Alice sound? And I find that, you know, not only am I happier, but the audience is more receptive when you're just yourself and you're openly in love with the song and you play like yourself. I will always play the Alice songs like Nita. And so to get David's track back and have just quintessential David Draiman with the octave jumps in the chorus, it was just like, I get chills right now in this moment thinking about how we heard it for the first time. And Josh and I were just sitting there like laughing, happy laugh, not obviously not funny laugh, but like we were just like, like,
Yeah.
it was just so good, you know, the first time that we heard it, and now, as David said, you know, everyone's reacting the same way.
The band, I think you guys are literally one of the. I can count on maybe a little less than two hands the number of people who've actually got to see me track.
What an honor.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
No, it's not that. It's just like normally that's a very
I'm like that too.
intimate, super private.
In the exact same way, yeah.
But I think it's testament to, you know, the nature of how long we've known each other, and we've all been friends for such a long time, and already having that level of comfort that already existed, I think, meant a great
Sure.
deal.
I think one of the things that that people might not think about is how many similarities there are between your careers and your career trajectories. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about beginnings, because a lot of what we do here at DW Presents and on the Twitch channel is supporting unsigned artists. You both have such fucking, like, forgive my complete honesty here, but fucking brilliant, like initial starting point stories. Nita, you were coming to the fore at a time when lead guitar playing was having to fight for its right to party again, right? right.
Perfectly said.
Like, what was it like coming back as, like, coming through as this classic guitar god like setup at a time that wasn't gravitating towards that? I'm someone who always roots to the underdog. So did you feel like an underdog at that point in time, or did you not think that wide?
I have always kind of felt like an underdog. I was having like a very actually like emotional conversation with Josh this morning about growing up and feeling like an underdog, feeling like it wasn't going to happen for me, feeling like the ugly duckling that couldn't get across the pond,
Yeah.
and starting out at a really young age, I started touring very, very young, and it's funny because through all of that adversity, it kind of never occurred to me that it wouldn't work. I just knew it was going to be a lot of work. There was never, once I found, the gig with Alice and had, some success, I kept getting this question like, are you surprised? Can you believe it? And I was like, well, yeah, I can believe it because I've been touring since I was 15, and I didn't start playing with Alex until I was almost 30. It was almost 14 years of grinding up to that level. People never really see your journey. They just see you when you arrive at the destination. They go, oh, wow, you made it.
Absolutely.
So it's a grind. You have to love the grind as much as you love the result.
When you look at that 15 years, what's the overriding emotion that comes with it? Because at this point, I'm sure there's satisfaction. But if you were to look back and put yourself in those shoes again, what were the standout fights that you felt like you had to be in to get to where you are, to get to the Alice gig and those moments?
Well, the standout word would be stubbornness.
I love it. I
And
love it.
just not taking no for an answer, not getting discouraged when, being asked to leave my own dressing room because there's no girlfriends allowed in the dressing room, not being
Fucking
discouraged,
unbelievable, man.
going on Warped Tour and playing at 9 a.m. before, when doors were just opening and they were just starting to let kids in, and then driving, 8 hours in a truck to do it again and play to 15 people the next day, like, to booking headline shows every day on days off and trying to sell enough merch to pay for gas to get to the next Warped Tour show. Like, I shouldn't even have said headline show. Let me just say day off shows, going and playing at,
Yeah.
they're definitely not headline shows, VFW halls and anywhere that we could get. And just, we were printing our own t-shirts on a manual screen machine for the parking lots of venues and hanging them outside of our truck, not van,
Holy
to dry.
shit. Yeah.
and trying to sell enough stuff. We had an energy drink endorsement, and we were selling them under the table at our merch table for $1 each
Wow.
to
Yeah.
get $30 to put in the gas tank. Like, these are the things that the people now don't see. The
Yeah.
people that see where David is at and see where I'm at, and you go, wow, this is great. You fly all over the world, and you play these big shows, but it takes doing all of that. I'm sure David will tell you a very similar story. It takes doing all of that in order to get to where you want to be.
We have a saying
I
on
just
our...
want to
Go for
know,
it.
where was it that they wouldn't let you stay in the dressing room because girlfriends weren't allowed? This I
Oh, it
got.
was actually at the Whiskey. It was in my
Oh, no
hometown.
way.
Yeah, it was that upstairs room at the Whiskey, right upstairs. 9 bands on the bill. I played there all the time, and some new bouncer came in and said, "All right, all the girls have got to go. This is for the band. This is only for the band." And I actually opened the door because the flyer had my band's photo on it, and I pointed at my own picture and I said, "Can I stay?" And it was
Yeah.
so great.
Headshot.
It was like,
Would it make you feel any better if I told you that the same thing happened when we headlined the Forum to me? so don't feel bad.
No.
We got to hear that story now, David.
I get security guys who have no idea who we are that just work as security guys, and
Yeah.
I don't always carry the laminate with me, and they don't look at the poster and whatever. And believe me, it wouldn't be the first time.
So we have a saying on our show that is whatever it takes, because we work with unsigned artists, and we know that those stories that you just told, Nita, that going the extra yard, that doing what it takes is exactly what it takes, and not only to get there but to stay there. David, what I like about your story, I tell this story a lot, is the industry itself, the music industry itself, has a tendency to always think it knows best. And what I love about Disturbed signing and getting signed was that it is and has always been with Disturbed fan and people motivated and fan and people driven. Can you tell people, there's a lot of people that don't know this kind of thing, what Chicago was like when you were unsigned and you were pulling the crowds that you were pulling and being told what you were being told by the industry? Because I think it's one of the most inspiring things for unsigned artists to hear.
Yeah, it was a weird time in Chicago. It was a good time for music. It was a time when alternative was everything and everywhere. And if you weren't the Smashing Pumpkins or Local H, clubs didn't want to book you in Chicago. And so we had to build our following, like Nita said, the old school way, in Southside Chicago clubs, and hitting the pavement with demo tapes, cassette tapes. This is how I'm dating us, hitting every single show. Band members would split up, if there were 4 shows happening on a given night, we'd go hit 4 different venues and just promote, and be a machine. And then here's where it gets really ironic. Okay. We were opening up for Ministry because Warner Brothers was courting us.
Right.
And Warner Brothers flew us out, and a gentleman who I will leave unnamed, it doesn't matter. I've reached the wonderful stage of IDGAF, so it doesn't. Basically, he was the head of radio at Warner at the time, and he heard our stuff and didn't get it. Didn't think it was going to work. And Warner initially passed on signing Disturbed. Okay. Then along came Giant Records and a guy by the name of Burko Pierce and a guy by the name of Larry Jacobson, who both believed very, very passionately in us, and they went after us very passionately, and we appreciated that, and we signed with them. And ironically, years later, Giant, which was owned by Irving Azoff, ended up getting sold to Warner Brothers Direct. So we still ended up
it's a sweet tonic.
And then I got to go back to the same guy who passed on us in the first place and be like, how you like me now?
Yeah. you see these platinum discs? The thing I love about the story, David, is that because Record One had Voices and Stupefy and Down with the Sickness, people have always seen Disturbed as this poster big band. So I always,
Juggernaut.
That's it. I love, myself and Bobby Blackcraft on our show, we say everyone's favourite band were an unsigned band at some point. So I love, I love that everyone's been an underdog at certain points in time. We've got a couple of fan questions. Devin and Paula Trigg, thank you so much for your patience. I wait for the right moment to bring these in. Devin says, David, he's read interviews where you've stated your love for mosh pits and crowd surfing. So the question to both of you: why do you think moshing is such a crucial part to a rock and metal show? And I think this is a quite poignant time to ask it after 18 months of not seeing that beautiful sight in front of you. A question to both of you.
I don't know that it's crucial, but it's well.
That's a good way of
I
putting it.
look. There's no doubt that people can rock their asses off in seats. They can. They can stand up. They can whatever. They can be singing every single word of every single song.
Yeah.
But there's an
Alice Cooper
energy.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a very unique energy that I fell in love with from the early Ozfest days of being on that side stage and just the bodies on bodies. I mean, I still remember back in the day up to the point where I was no longer allowed to do so. Okay. But I used to be the guy out there, crowd surfing, and I think it was a Machine Head show at the Vic Theater in Chicago. And I was on top of the crowd and I fell backwards and I hit the back of my head and I blacked out. And after that, Danny and Mike and everybody came real hard down on me and they're like, "That's it, no more of that. We need you to stay alive. You can't crowd surf anymore." I'm like, okay.
That's amazing, David. I'm gonna text Rob that story afterwards. He'll fucking love that.
I think I told it to him on Ozfest like years ago, but
Amazing.
maybe he remembers it, maybe he doesn't.
I love it. Nita, like your shows, especially when it comes to solo shows, I think that people that like to zone in on what you're doing get a bad rep because the cheer at the end is always super loud, but during the performance, like what is a Nita crowd like? Because I can imagine there's as many people like squinted eyes looking at what your fretboard's doing as there are rocking out.
You guys, give me some moshing, please.
I see.
I'm a metal kid. I grew up playing in metalcore bands. Give me a fucking wall of death or something. I know it's not gonna happen, but so let me just back up. My band is a rowdy metal band. The guys and girl I have in my band are performers to the nth degree. If you've seen me with Alice and you just take what I do and do that like metal style, my guys are all like that. Like Josh is back there, Hulk smash on the drums. My guitarist and bassist, Johnny and Dean, like they're stomping on the stage, windmilling, like, Kat is headbanging on the keyboards. Like we are giving you guys the traditional metalcore stage show, but we never get the audience because like you said, they're all guitar fans. They're like,
Yeah.
"Huh, what's she doing over there?" Like it's, they're observing.
I
So
have a
it's
funny
an
feeling
interesting
during that.
dynamic.
I have a funny feeling during that bridge you might have your wish come true.
Oh my God, please.
I
Please give me some movement. Anything, you guys, I'm begging you. I don't get it in the Alice shows. Give it to me on this upcoming tour. Give me some movement in the crowd. I will love you guys so much.
I'll be listening for breakdown parts on the new record as and when, but I'll get to questions. I'll get to questions about that. Paula Trigg, thank you for waiting so patiently. A question for how do you feel about the support that DWP is showing for unsigned artists? They should check out the Twitch show if they can. So, I guess I can adopt that question. Paula, thank you so much for supporting how much we go out of our way to do cool stuff for unsigned artists. Honestly, Nita, there's a band, White Collar, who won our big competition this summer. They're playing the main stage of Welcome to Rockville. They're on the day before you, David, on the Friday, and they're 17, and the kid who plays and sings, it's all Eddie licks, and like they write singles, like big singles, like straight out of 85, 86, and it's another person like that I can see being added to this thing on the end. But how hard is it for an unsigned artist in the modern era? Because Nita, you do brilliant things with Patreon to go out of your way and show the way for artists to interact with their fans in the modern era. How hard do you both? What challenges do you both see for unsigned artists in 2021?
Ladies first.
I'll take it. I think that there are definitely some things that make it a lot easier. Music is so accessible these days. You have the internet. I get tagged in videos of incredible guitar players from Bangladesh and Chile and India and Japan every day that I would never see if we didn't have this access to Instagram and YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, it's very saturated. There's so much amazing talent. It's hard to be the big band from your city now because everybody's the big band in every city. The city is Instagram or God, TikTok. I don't even do the TikTok, but
Yeah.
like TikTok's the big city now. And it's so saturated, it's a little hard to be heard through the noise, I think. So you just have to be smart. You have to look at your music as what it is, a business. If just sitting in your living room and playing guitar was all it took, then we would all be famous and we'd all be rich. Everybody on the planet that has ever picked up a guitar would have a career as a guitar player. But it takes so much. You have to be active on social media and get out there and get your name out there and play local shows and get the attention of the bands that you want to tour with. I'm taking multiple unsigned artists on my tour. I have Black Satellite coming out with me. I have
Oh,
Abby
amazing.
Kay, who's an up and coming artist, opening the first leg of the tour. Mark Rizzo, incredible
Oh,
shredder,
killer.
opening the last leg of the tour. And then on every single show, we have local support bands because I think it's so important to, give local music that platform. If someone's coming to see me, then they'll come and see a local band they can go and see over and over again. So just seeking out those opportunities and separating yourself from the pack. It's a big crowded pack right now.
Nita, highest of high fives for not just talking it, for walking it, for doing that for
Absolutely.
bands out there. Amazing stuff. David, unsigned bands and the challenges in 2021.
She laid it out pretty well. The saturation factor, being lost in the noise, is a huge factor for people. But I've often found that some people try to make up for lack of strength of hook by just being noisier.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
and and I think that at the end of the day, no matter who you are as an artist, um, great songs will see the light of day. Truly great songs. If and you have to be willing to bust your damn ass to get them there.
Yep.
Whatever it takes, however it takes, whatever little crack the door is opened up to you, you got to try and force that fucker the rest of the way open.
Yes.
We're not living in a day and age. We never have been, but especially now because of the saturation factor. You really have to be. It's funny that it can't just be a dumpster fire. You know what I mean?
I
You
do,
can't
yeah.
just be
Yeah.
getting people's attention. There has to be something that stays, something that remains, something that hooks.
Yeah.
And I
Substance.
think that as long as there continues to be artists that stay true to that and push their respective envelopes. I mean, look at what Nita's done, for example.
Yeah.
The Patreon campaign, for example. When you do great stuff and you put it in a vehicle and you put some decent promotion behind it, and people become aware of it, it grows.
Yeah.
But it has to be great. If
I
it
agree.
isn't great to begin with, you can go ahead and water a dead seed. It's not going to give you anything.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
I'm
David.
literally I'm literally going straight from this to my Patreon live stream like
See?
directly after we finish here,
There it is.
doing something to help people feel appreciated. Like fandom is so valuable these days. People like we've been saying, it's so saturated. People can put their money anywhere, and if they choose
Absolutely.
to put some of it towards you, some of their time and attention towards you, uh, giving some appreciation back is everything. So I love that about Patreon, is it gives you that chance to sort of say thank you for your support.
I get to interview musicians all the time, like it's my living, and thank you to both of you. This is really fucking inspiring today, because from a media standpoint, like, I'll be honest, I don't think that we've done the best job of the last decade of making that the case, of making it about the steak and not the sizzle. And it's been nice to see that. It's been nice to see that balance being redressed. And something that I like about what we're doing here on Twitch is it becomes more fan motivated, because it used to be that the media would control the tide, and now the people control the tide, and it's our job to report on what people are feeling. And I back you that is starting to bear fruit on better bands and more substance and more. You can see it with 2 million people checking out Dead Inside 2 weeks. The document speaks for itself. Last question from everyone out there. Like, if you want to gift 5 subs, you can hijack and ask a question. Paula asks another one that is a question and a statement for David here. Thank you for your music. Hold On to Memories helped me get through my dad's death last year from COVID. I applied it to the slideshow that I made for him. Will there be a new album or new projects from you and or Disturbed? Can't wait to see Disturbed at Rockville. I am so excited. From Paula Trigg.
Oh yeah, I know we're dying to. I'm dying to. I'm very much looking forward to getting on a plane in a few hours. Actually, we're doing a couple shows for the Hard Rock peeps in Indiana, and then we're coming to see you guys in Florida. So I'm very much looking forward to writing with the guys during the downtime in between. We have plans to do so. I'm itching. I've been itching to do it for a very long time, to get back with the guys that I've, that are my writing partners for life.
Do you have to physically be in the same space, David? Is it one of those situations?
No, but it's always best.
I agree.
I mean, you can do it remotely. It's not recommended. For anybody. I mean, you gotta have vibe and energy and be in front of the person at some point. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nita and I were able to do it remotely for the most part, but at some point you got to get together to finalize the thing.
I agree.
Put down. But would it have been easier if I had her and Josh in front of me during the time? Fuck yeah, it would have been. I mean, wouldn't have
bounce
been
some ideas around, and
yeah. It would have been much more fluid. It's always preferred to be in person.
Yes, I agree. So we've got you for like another 15 minutes. I will ask about the live performance. Speaking of being back in front of people again, David, we caught you at Louder Than Life, and I'll throw back to you in a second because we've got you headlining Rockville in a couple of weeks' time. Nita, you're about to go out on a solo run. Starts in 8 days. You've just been out with Alice. Something that I have loved about this festival run, has been no band nor fan is coming half-heartedly, and it has been so rad to see the world's best bands who have been cooped up for 18 months, no pun intended there, cooped up for that amount of time, and when you reach that stage and you're back out in front of people, what has that feeling been like? Because we've heard there's been reports of tickets going great. There's been reports of tickets not going so great. There's been ups and downs for us as a business at this point in time. But once you break the seal and get in front of people, I have found the rest of it just falls away. Have you found that as someone on stage?
I've had shows just during regular touring time where you go through some stuff in your day-to-day life, and whether you're having trouble at home or you're going through, whatever it is you're going through, and the moment that intro track ends and the kabuki drops and the crowd roars, everything else that's going on in your life melts away. And you're left with this feeling of total satisfaction of just like, you guys have seen me play. I have this goofy smile on my face the whole time, and I can't help it. I had a band once tell me, like, you should look more tough on stage. And I try. And I've got old videos playing with As Blood Runs Black where they've got the wall of death, my happy wall of death. And I'm up with 1 foot on the monitor, like, just cheesing,
I love it.
It's what we love.
Authentic.
It's the reason that we do it. It is. And so having been home for a year and a half and having all this uncertainty of not knowing, the band was not getting paid. Nobody was bringing in any money during that time. We were all figuring out what we were going to do. I'm so grateful. I had my online guitar lesson course that we started, and I was doing Patreon, and everybody's trying to like figure out what you're going to do next. But it was
Yeah.
a scramble to keep your head above water and figure out what was going to happen. So when we went back to work and the kabuki dropped, the curtain came down, and the crowd roared for the first time, we all just looked at each other and we did that laugh like, like again, like here it is. And we did it night after night. We had not one COVID case on our tour. We did not lose a single person. Every single person was safe, tested, secure. Venues were secured. We got it together and we did it. We did it right. Our whole band and crew stayed with us for 6 weeks.
Love it.
And I feel like we might have been one of the only bands to get through unscathed. Nobody in Ace Frehley's touring camp, nobody in our touring camp, drivers, roadies, light techs, sound techs, band members, everybody was happy and grateful and the whole time, and we just couldn't be more excited to get back out and do it again.
Mate, Ace Frehley and Alice Cooper, that is a decent summer, Nita. That is
What
a
a good job.
decent way. Welcome back.
Yes.
David, getting back to things and getting back to things on that scale. We saw you headline Louder Than Life a little while ago. How was it for you? Because like I mentioned when we first brought you in, you're one of the people that I feel the most kinship with that I talk to because of how serious and how much you love our culture and this world. When you are where you are with Disturbed, does it add anything to it when it comes to being back out there? Like it was like I was there for Metallica's comeback thing, but they'd done a couple of small club things. Like what was it like for you, the getting back to being on stage?
Not enough.
Not enough. No, not enough. I love it.
It was a tease.
Yeah.
You go out and you get the little taste. And look, I know that, it's how we all have to do it these days. And Nita just spoke the gospel, they're touring wise. But I will say that, like you say, as an artist that loves the genre and that loves what we all do and that has a genuine love for the music in it, it is such a bummer for me not to be able to go watch my other brothers and sisters play and enjoy what they do, or for them to watch us, or for it the whole, and
I hadn't
for
even
there
considered
not to
that.
be any hang, and it's a tough time, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, the little taste that we do get of just the live bit is intoxicating enough, but I miss everything else that used to be a part of the festival experience that COVID has robbed us of for the time being. And don't get me wrong, I know that this is a momentary thing. I know that eventually we will achieve herd immunity and get to the point where this isn't an annual issue. But but in the meantime, it just kind of
Yeah, I hear you. I know what you're saying. Like when you talk about those Ozfest hangs and all the rest of it, it's part and part of it. Part and parcel is the camaraderie and people that you haven't seen inside a year. I have to ask, while we're talking about this specific subject, did you ever consider doing a big stream, David, with Disturbed? Because you had that big, the sickness anniversary, and when COVID came, some bands went in for the big streaming thing, some bands didn't, and we've spoken a lot about the feeling, the in-person feeling. Was it just not right for you?
If you want to stream a big live show in front of thousands of people and mix it right and convey the vibe that we all try and put so much time, effort, and our creativity and craft into creating for a live experience, that's different. If you're specifically shooting for a moment of time where you're trying to do something intimate and cool, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But me personally, I love doing that kind of stuff. We did that kind of stuff prior to the pandemic. We did it for, the Evolution record
Yeah,
cycle. And I didn't see the point in like, okay, well, everybody's stuck at home. Everybody's doing this. We don't exactly have anything new to do that we didn't already do kind of acoustic-y live just to
yeah,
go ahead stream it, and everybody's kind of wrapped up in their own shit and just pulling them out of it to do that just for the sake of it. It's
yeah.
like, okay, what does this do for everybody exactly? And I don't know. It was hard for me to justify. I'm like, you want to talk about getting a show together, a show, or even just to play something for fun here and there, whatever, fine. But to make it like a regular thing for us personally, it just wasn't where we were at the time.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Totally makes sense. Chat, we've got the guys here for another 5 minutes. If you could please spam Dead Inside at the end of the interview, we're going to give away 2 more pairs of tickets to Welcome to Rockville next weekend. So don't say we don't do anything for you. Spam Dead Inside in the chat, and in 5 minutes' time, we'll pick another couple of winners, and a couple of you will get to join us at Welcome to Rockville. So I just wanted to close up by talking more Dead Inside, seeing as we've got 5 minutes. I've heard this bandied around from people. Do you think, and this is, David, I'm going to go to you first because I feel like it's less awkward to ask you than it is Nita. Do you think this song could do do you think this song could win a Grammy? Because I
Oh
think
yes, that's awkward to ask me. Sure.
It's a very fair point, well made.
You know
Come
what?
on, David.
It is an amazing song.
It's great,
And
right?
I would be very, very proud if it were even considered for something like that. So that's all I can say. It would,
Hey.
look, I think it would be a particularly tasty little bit of irony if that's what ended up happening.
I agree. Hey, I'm an ideas guy, David. I just like floating things out there. Nita, how much does Dead Inside lead people in for a full-length record? Because there's no full-length record announced yet, but you have referenced it at various points in this chat. Like, what does Dead Inside tell us about the forthcoming sophomore solo record from you?
I think the main thing it tells us is that we are coming to play with this second album.
Yes.
The first one I really made with a chip on my shoulder. It was a very indulgent album. I self-produced, self-engineered. I did all these things that you really shouldn't do. And it was just stubbornness, some holdover stubbornness of from my young days, I guess, saying I want to get my stuff out. I don't want anybody telling me how I'm doing it. I just want to do it myself, and that's it. And now I think I'm bringing a much more mature perspective. I think we're bringing better crafted songs. And obviously, as you can see, we're bringing some top tier talent. So I'm
Yeah.
just excited to unleash the rest of the songs on the world.
I've got to say that does the approach to this record find its way a little bit differently to you when the first one, when being made and when being floated out as a concept, had a question mark over it? You were crowdfunding this thing. Those questions were answered inside 2 hours when the record was entirely funded 8 times over inside a couple of days. But that is a heavy burden to have hanging over a record. This time, have you been able to create a little more freely when you've seen and felt that behind you?
I don't know if I would use the word freely,
Okay.
because I almost feel like I was more free on the first one when there was no expectations. Like
Right.
the first one, I didn't know what the response was going to be. I just knew I wanted to make a shred record, and that was it. And I went and I made a shred album, and it was all instrumental, and I did it how I wanted to do it, and that was that. But now there definitely is a lot riding. I don't want to say even riding on it, but there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectation of to top it, and I think we've topped it and then some. We've gone far and above. I think the songs, like I said, they're better songs. They're actual songs now, and not just like me. The first album was like, I see this trend going around. It's like a photo dump where it's just a bunch of like these are all my memories from this time. And Controlled Chaos was like my emotional dump. Like this is like all my emotions. This is my heart on a plate. This is everything that I have, everything that I am. Just take it. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I think with the second album, where we took a step back, we crafted more carefully. We thought about the ebb and flow of the album. We crafted songs for certain singers to complement their voice. You know, I even the instrumental songs I think are more well thought out and more carefully laid out and in their arrangement. So I just honestly I couldn't be more proud of how it's coming out. And there's just a couple little loose ends to tie up, and then
All right.
we should be ready for release early next year.
Ah, there you go. That was my last question. Was going to ask when. So there you go, chat. Early 2022 for the record.
Yeah, spring 2022, probably.
That's what we like to hear. David, we will see you in a couple of weeks' time at Rockville next weekend. People back home, make sure you are following, because we're going to be coming at you live from Rockville all weekend. And Nita, I can't wish you more success with the record. It's been beautiful seeing Dead Inside do as well as it has. If you're out there, stream the ever-loving shit out of it. It is, it's in the top 20 of active rock already inside 2 weeks. Virtually unprecedented. I am laying my hat, all of them, on it being a number one. Nita, David, thank you for the music and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Likewise. All the best, guys. Okay, chat, how's about that for a good time with David Draiman and Nita Strauss? You can go and check out Nita's Patreon. It's a brilliant way for getting to support them. How fucking cool was that? Huh? How cool was that? 2 living legends on one show. Absolutely unprecedented. I see you all spamming Dead Inside. Jake, let's get our first winner and I'll give the other one away in around 5 minutes' time.
And the first winner is...
Let's go! Ho!
Dundorit L807.
That's what we love to see, Dundorit. Welcome to Rockville. We will see you in wow, it's next weekend.
Oh yeah, it's next weekend.
Wow, yeah, it's come around quick. You will be there to see Slipknot, A Day to Remember.